Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anne. This is the third in my series on Chinatown, and as with the first two videos in this series, I am starting at the Dragon's Gate at the entrance of Chinatown because it's the entrance to Chinatown, so why not start here? Today we're talking about firsts, things that happened here first, and our first stop is a few blocks in, so let's get going. In the very first video that I did for my Chinatown series, I mentioned that the heart and soul of Chinatown is the people. So it is so nice to see people starting to come out again. It feels like the town is coming back to life. This is the spot where San Francisco was founded way back in 1835. Back then, this land was part of Mexico, and William A. Richardson founded the town of Yerba Buena. It is commemorated by this very sad-looking plaque that is pretty easy to miss unless you know where to look for it. It's on Grant Avenue between Clay and Jackson, or if you saw the first video, between this mural and this mural. So you might have noticed a few things in what I just said. The first is that this was Mexico, and the second that Yerba Buena was founded by William A. Richardson. Richardson is not a Hispanic name. In fact, he was British. So you might be asking yourself, how did a Brit found a city in Mexico? I'm glad you asked. Richardson was on a whaling boat that was docked in the San Francisco Bay, and he went to an all-night fiesta where he met and fell in love with Maria Antonia Martinez. So he left his ship, he converted to Catholicism, he became a citizen of Mexico, and he married Maria. Now, Maria wasn't just any young Mexican woman. She was the daughter of Ignacio Martinez, who was the commandant of the Presidio. So Richardson, with his sailing experience and marrying the daughter of the commandant of the Presidio, he had a lot of influence. He built his first tent in this location in June of 1835, and it was replaced with a wooden house in October of 1835. I haven't talked a lot about Portsmouth Square in the previous two videos. You will recognize the Goddess of Democracy statue from the first video. Today, Portsmouth Square is a vibrant community. People will come here to play cards. There's Tai Chi in the morning. The walking tour groups of Chinatown will meet here because it's really convenient. There is a parking garage underneath. And you can see that there has been a lot of unity with Black Lives Matter movement. Back in 1835, when it was still Yerba Buena, this was called the Grand Plaza, and it was the center of town. During the Mexican-American War, Captain Montgomery of the USS Portsmouth, an American warship, was ordered to take Yerba Buena, which he did. And in July of 1846, the first American flag was raised in this very spot. The next year, 1847, Yerba Buena was renamed to San Francisco. We all know how important education is, and it was important even back in the early days of San Francisco. In 1847, the city council built a one-room schoolroom. This was the first public school in the state of California. It was built in this very spot, and it was funded mostly by tuition fees. It opened in April of 1848 with Thomas Douglas as the first teacher. Now, what else happened in California in 1848? Yeah, it was the gold rush. Gold was discovered, and when news of gold came to San Francisco, Thomas Douglas left that schoolroom and headed for the mines. And that was the end of this this education experience. Another school opened about a year and a half later in a different location, and that became the first free public school in the state of California. Here's some trivia for you. This monument to Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson was the very first monument to the author. He He wrote classics like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Treasure Island, and Kidnapped. Across the street from Portsmouth Square is the location of the very first bookstore in San Francisco. It was opened in this location in 1849, and it is commemorated with this plaque. It was opened by John Hamilton Still, and he had it until the end of 1850. Now, I don't know if he moved it to another location or closed the bookstore. I couldn't find any more information than what was on the plaque. But I do have a photograph from 1851. Here's the bookstore. At this time, it is the Alta California, which was a weekly newspaper. Kind of cool, huh? We talked about the Chinese telephone exchange, the building behind me, in the last video, and that's not what we're going to talk about today, but I did find some actual footage of the operators that I wanted to share with you. But the significance of this is this was the location of the very first newspaper in San Francisco. It was called the California Star, and it started operations in January of 1847 and ceased operations in June of 1848 because what happened in 1848? Yeah, gold was discovered, and the entire staff of the California Star headed to the gold mines. About 6 months later, another newspaper was started, the Alta California, which was in the photograph that I just showed you. So those are just some of the firsts that have happened here in Chinatown. If you like what you see in here, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you would like to see the other 2 videos in my series, just click on the link. Thank you for watching.